Welcome back, everybody. Captain Gino here. It is December here in Central Florida, and this is the fishing report for December 2024. It's December 11th currently today. Our water temperatures around the majority of the chain are in that mid to lower 60s. We're coming off of a slight warming trend after some serious temperature drops. It was super cold here the week prior, and we're looking at the following week coming into the full moon along with another cold snap. So we got wind blowing in every direction. It's really blowing out there today. It's misting all day, and these fish are on the move. But the bite is fantastic on the chain. There's a bunch of new grass, and there's a bunch of areas that had grass previously that had either died off naturally or been sprayed or whatever happened. They're coming back, and it's really lending itself to some great quality fishing on the chain. These fish tend to be this time of year to move around quite a bit. You're dealing with fish that are wanting to pull up and spawn. You're dealing with fish that are staging for the spawn. You're dealing with some fish that are post-spawn. And I know that sounds crazy, and that's the smaller majority when you're talking about the spawn. But the name of the game this time of year on the chain is inside or outside. You're going to be offshore, or you're going to be fishing in tight. And I find the most consistent areas to focus on, rather than chasing your tail on some of these shell bars, are to get at the mouths of the canals, get in the hydrilla, get in the eelgrass. These areas that hold larger biomasses of fish, whether it be bait fish or largemouth bass, your target species. So with that being said, some of the areas that are fantastic this time of year traditionally and continue to reign true are going to be your pinch points like the Dead River connecting Eustis to Big Harris, the Dora Canal, the Beauclair Canal, Apopka Canal, and I know that's a large area you're talking about, you know, a 40-minute run from one end to the other, but focusing at the mouth generally seems to be best in these pinch points or connecting canals. And areas like the mouth of the 9th Street Canal, the biomass there right now is insane. You can get out there and deep crank it. The last time I was out there, I was catching them on DT16. You can throw umbrella rigs, you can throw a sea rig out there, but there is a ton of fish moving in, moving out. Mouth of Ocklawaha, another area to focus on this time of year, and will continue to do so all the way into the spring. These are areas that seem to be common or known to be as community holes, but they produce big bags of fish consistently over and over. Now, as far as the chain goes, I don't want to overwhelm anybody, but I'll try to keep it as brief and give you as much as I can to help you out in these next coming months. We're going to go ahead and start with Big Harris. Big Harris has a ton of new hydrilla. Focus on areas from Johnson's Point, moving all the way towards Venetian Gardens, especially around areas like the 9th Street Canals or the Ocklawaha. Most of the areas where the shell bars are really good, like on the north shore of Big Harris or over towards the airport, you'll find beautiful fresh grass, whether it's eelgrass or hydrilla or pepper grass outside the Kissimmee grass, outside these docks or the beaches where a lot of guys like to catch them. Those areas are areas that you'd want to focus on more. You'll find more consistency, at least I am for the most part, in areas like this than going all the way out and fishing some of the deeper shell bars, things like that. It seems to me in Big Harris right now, the majority of the fish are going to be from 2-3 foot all the way out to 6 foot of water. We're catching really good numbers around the grass. I find a lot of times throughout the season when they're pre-spawn and spawning, these larger expansive flats are fantastic, and if there's grass on them, even better. And if you look at in between like Johnson's Point and Venetian there's some really nice areas that lend itself to that type of fishing and can be extremely consistent. The biggest trouble with these dang Florida bass are that there's not many contours to follow, and they're constantly spawning over these next few months. We're just now getting that season. We went from these fish have been super grouped up for the last month or so, and really fickle to being a little bit more aggressive, and to getting hit with front after front makes them fickle, and they move around a lot along with the bait fish. So those areas will be more consistent and easier to stay on top of a decent bag for Big Harris for me. The brush piles have been hit or miss. This time of year, I tend to do better with small swim baits on the shallower piles, especially with the water clarity the way it is. So like piles in that 6 to 8 foot range. Same thing with the shell, but the shell leading all the way up to the Kissimmee grass around the beaches and spawning areas seem to be a little bit better, especially up, from Johnson's Point, moving towards the Dead River, and then along the northern shore there. Also the bridge, a lot of guys sleep on the bridge. The bridge has been fantastic. It sucked. It was terrible for the last couple of years. I didn't do great, as good as I had been doing, but it seems to be really good. There's a lot of grass in that area. And there's some really nice shell bars just outside of that pinch point there. And again, this time of year will reign supreme in that area, and a lot of people kind of miss that opportunity. Moving into Little Lake Harris, the water quality is so-so. I'm not a big fan. I have not been doing good in Little Harris the last month or so. I had a couple days out there where I thought, man, this is going to be the deal. But there's really not a whole lot of new grass out there, and just outside of some of those canals on the southern side and southern end of the lake, I'm not doing real good over in Little Harris. Therefore, I've not spent a ton of time there. So maybe there's some hidden gem there that I haven't seen. But as of now, we're not doing too great. Moving into Eustis. Eustis has been like a so-so for me. You know, it's really good in certain areas, you know, around Haynes Creek, some of those canals, the mouths of those canals, as well as some of the hydrilla on that same shoreline, kind of in between the Dead River and Haynes Creek, but not great as far as sizes or numbers. It's been so-so. Eustis has been like that for me here lately. Definitely not my top pick for December right now, or the chain period. We're gonna go ahead and move over to Lake Griffin. Lake Griffin is absolutely going off. It's fishing as good as it's fished in probably 5 years, maybe 6 years. It's been a while since it's fished that good. There's a lot of new grass and really good water. Really good water. It's extreme. I can't remember. It's been since 2016 since I've seen water that clear in Lake Griffin. It really is fishing extremely well. I've spent an immense amount of time on Lake Griffin. I would focus on areas northeast, the northeast side from Yale Canal all the way up to the Ocklawaha River, moving south all the way to Haynes Creek to the southern entrance into the marsh, south of Haynes Creek. A lot of new grass in there, a lot of really nice hydrilla. The water clarity has been absolutely fantastic. On the south end of the lake, a big change would be the southwest corner there going into the state park. That water is a little bit dirtier than usual. There's a lot less grass. The northern cove closest to the state park that was full of hydrilla and eelgrass is all gone. There's none there. And even a little bit north of that, the opposing cove, where the trailer park is, there's a little island there. Most of that grass has been wiped out. There is some eelgrass around. Moving towards the center of the lake, that area has had a large biomass of both baitfish and bass and some really good catches over there. It's been going off for me. I went over there to go into that particular cove on the north end, closest to the entrance into the state park, and I was bummed out. I was having a pretty rough day with a client, and was hoping to bail myself out in there, and it just didn't work out, and went to the opposing cove and just graphed around for a minute and got on an absolute bag over there and had some really good days over the last few weeks there. So I've been spending my focus between there and the northeast end. They've both been rocking. The western side, closest to most of the spawning canals where the early spawners are going to be, the northwest side of the lake, hasn't been super great for me. I spent some time over there graphing, and because it's changed, like the whole deal's changed over there, from the water clarity to the submerged vegetation, and I just couldn't really get anything going as far as size goes. And I really do think that's partly because it seemed like Griffin had taken a beating over a few years of real heavy pressure, and then people seem to leave it alone, and it snapped back. I don't think that the volume of fish is there that was back in 16, but the areas that are holding fish are equal too, right? It's like when you get around them there right now, it's going down. Like you're catching really good quality, mid to high 20 bags, pretty consistent. A rougher day, you're going to be around that, 17 to 22 pounds. We'll call it a bad day over there, but you can really get on them pretty good. The marshes, one marsh is like wiped out. The one that's south of Haynes Creek, the grass is cooked there, and just muddy, nasty. I couldn't really get on them there. The northern marsh, you're gonna be north of Haynes Creek there, that marsh is ripping. The grass is good in there. They have done some spraying, but there's still enough grass in there, and the fishing in there is rocking and rolling if you can manage to find your way around. Now, not to hang up too long on Griffin, we're gonna go into the Ocklawaha. Ocklawaha has been rocking for me. I'm catching them really good right in the middle of the channel, and the skinnier areas of the Ocklawaha River, closest to Nelson's Fish Camp. I've been focusing on from there south, which typically is legal during tournaments, but the narrower parts, I've been catching them in the middle, all the way up to the dirt. So right directly in the channel, you find big schools of fish chasing bait around. I've been doing really good with a square bill and open water, jerk baits, and top waters, smaller top waters though. And then swim jig in the grass, and that sparser Kissimmee grass and lily pads, they've been absolutely lighting it up. I've caught them pretty good on the flats, moving a little bit south in between Griffin and Nelson's there when it widens up. But it seems harder to follow those fish around. So when I'm in those areas, I focus on areas closest to those spawning canals right there on the northeast corner. Now, moving on to the rest of the chain, Beauclair, Dora, and Carlton. I have not spent a whole lot of time here in the last few weeks, but I suspect, as usual, the Beauclair cuts probably fire. The offshore bite, this time of year, I typically like to throw a hair jig where the shallower schooling fish are. I find that I'm able to pick out some bigger fish using that particular bait. You'll find that they're going to be schooled up on the right-hand side, just coming through into Beauclair. And then Trumbull Park, that major point there, always does me right this time of year, but I've not been over there. From what I hear from other guys, it has been fishing pretty good, and Dora's been fishing exceptionally well. Typically, you're going to want to focus on eelgrass, closest to your Kissimmee grass, and hydrilla on flats and pinch points. Another place I've spent a bunch of time on, not to glance over 3 lakes so briefly, but I just haven't been there. I don't want to give you guys any BS. Apopka is still rocking and rolling. I truly believe Apopka is one of the better lakes in the state of Florida. You can catch them offshore and you can catch them shallow right now, but the best places to be are going to be pinch points and some of these grass flats. But I'm catching them all around, you know, from Smith Island all the way to the entrance into the Apopka Canal, going towards Beauclair. And then from the Apopka Canal, moving east out of the Apopka Canal, all the way down to the pump house is fantastic. You can catch them on a swim jig, chatterbait. Chatterbait bite's been insane in there. Like, the chatterbait bite is insane. You can really catch them pretty good like that. And then Paradise Heights, Crown Point, rocking and rolling still, but in the eelgrass around Crown Point, a little out from where the lily pads are, I've been finding better success, 3 to 4 foot of water with shell. And then moving all the way into the gourd, into the springs. It's just, there's fish all over that lake. It is a massive lake. It's full of giant fish. And don't sleep on the canal. This canal's rocking and rolling. I do believe that just about wraps the chain for y'all. I have not been in Denham lately. Denham is good this time of year. Typically, the last few times I spent in Denham, I didn't do fantastic, but it can be good for some guys sometimes. But I believe that's about it. Now, for those of you guys who've been around for a while, you've been with me for a long time, I really apologize for these last few months not being around for you guys. It went from insane craziness, my schedule in summer, to back-to-back hurricanes and things really getting knocked out of whack for me. I truly apologize to y'all, and I appreciate you sticking with me. Fishnology members, we got something special for you. I appreciate y'all sticking around too. There's a ton of new waypoints being uploaded from all the places I've been fishing over the last few months. I didn't forget about you, and I do appreciate you. That wraps up the fishing report for the Harris Chain, December 2024. Thanks for sticking around. Until next time, everybody, tie line.